Welcome to Bittensor Weekly, your source of truth for everything happening in the Bittensor ecosystem. I'm your host, and this is episode 10, May 10th, 2026. This week, TAO went live natively on Solana, and the conviction upgrade is now expected on-chain as early as next week. Two of the biggest stories Bittensor has had since launch in the same 7-day window. Let's get into it. Story 1. The conviction upgrade is no longer a draft. On Thursday morning, Seth Bloomberg, partner at Unsupervised Capital and one of the most plugged-in voices in the Bittensor investment community, posted that conviction is, quote, slated to arrive as early as next week. He laid out the mechanics in detail. This is the first version of conviction landing on-chain. The initial implementation focuses on the locking mechanism only. The election layer for new subnet owners comes later. Here is what activates if it ships next week. Subnet owner emissions auto-lock by default. Owners can choose to unlock, but unlock is an on-chain action with a delay function attached. After roughly 30 days, 63% of unlocked tokens become spendable. After roughly 90 days, 95%. The delay means a subnet owner cannot dump their entire bag without giving the market a publicly visible early warning. Any token holder can lock their tokens toward any address. That includes the current subnet owner or a potential new owner. The locking primitive is in place, even though the election mechanism is not yet active. The on-chain plumbing is being staged. Sami Kassab from Unsupervised Capital responded quickly, quote, I think conviction is going to be a massive net positive for the ecosystem. It will not prevent subnet owners from selling to cover expenses. It will just require them to be more intentional and transparent about it. Teams can run programmatic unlock schedules that will get priced in by the market since they will be predictable. This is basically a push toward professional treasury management for teams. That is the analyst frame. The structural frame is bigger. For the first time, Bittensor will have a protocol-level mechanism that distinguishes committed builders from short-term extractors. The covenant pattern, where a subnet owner walks away with full emissions intact, becomes structurally harder to execute without an on-chain warning shot. The subnet ownership transfer mechanism is staged for a future activation, but the foundation drops next week. Story 2. Canonical TAO went live natively on Solana on Tuesday, May 5th, on stage at Solana Accelerate USA in Miami. Yoav Cohen, CEO of TAO.com, delivered the announcement. Wormhole's Sunrise platform issues canonical wrapped TAO, fully redeemable 1-to-1 against real TAO locked in the Wormhole vault, with on-chain proof of reserves. What unlocked Tuesday? Native trading on Jupiter and Meteora, support inside Phantom and Solflare wallets, and trading pairs against SOL, USDC, and JUP. The Solana user base, which is the largest active retail crypto user base outside Ethereum, can now hold and trade TAO without leaving their existing wallets. Edward Zua from Wormhole told the block that TAO can, quote, trade natively across the network.
Underneath the spot integration, TaoFi extended to Solana through Sunrise. TaoFi is the one-click subnet access framework, originally launched on Base in August 2025. As of this week, Solana wallets can route capital directly into Bittensor subnet validator economies, with custody retained via Hyperlane interchain accounts. One caveat to be honest about. Per EOCA's analysis on May 6th, TaoFi's Solana yield products had not yet published live deposit data at time of writing. The framework is live. Flow numbers are pending. TAO is currently trading near $313, up about 12% over the past 7 days, and up 3% on the day. The 264 resistance we flagged in last week's Watch 2 snapped clean. 300 has been retested and held. Story 3. Apex on SUBNET 1 launched Tron, a reinforcement learning competition where AI agents face off in head-to-head Tron tournaments evaluated through decentralized brackets, live, on-chain, with token-coordinated participation. Quick market data. TAO near $313, market cap roughly $3.0 billion, around 68% of supply staked, December halving still compressing emissions at 3,600 TAO per day. On the Robin upgrade, which would expand active subnet capacity from 128 to 256. We want to flag this carefully. Multiple ecosystem outlets have referenced Robin this week. The Crypto Times noted on May 4th that the timeline for that expansion has not been confirmed. Treat Robin as a forward roadmap item, not a shipped activation. This week's spotlight is not a subnet. It's the protocol mechanism that may quietly become the most important upgrade since dynamic TAO. Conviction in its current proposed form does three things at the protocol level. First, it changes how subnet owner emissions move. Owner emissions auto-lock as they accrue. Second, it changes how unlocks work. Once an owner triggers an unlock, they cannot access the full balance immediately. 63% of unlocked tokens become spendable after 30 days, 95% after 90 days. Third, it introduces a generic locking primitive. Any holder can lock toward any address. Each of these is small in isolation. Together, they restructure the economics of subnet ownership on Bittensor. Here is why. The Covenant exit, which we covered extensively in earlier episodes, was possible because there was no protocol-level mechanism stopping a subnet owner from selling their emissions in real time. The owner could collect, dump, and walk away in the same week. That single failure mode became the most cited critique of Bittensor's incentive design. Conviction's locking and delay system does not eliminate that pattern. Owners can still ultimately sell, but the act of unlocking becomes a publicly visible on-chain event. The delay creates a market signal. If you see a subnet owner trigger a large unlock, you have 30 days of advance notice before 63% of those tokens hit the open market. That is enough time for other holders, validators, and counterparties to respond. That is the structural upgrade. Bittensor goes from a network where subnet owner exits can be invisible until they hit, to a network where exits are pre-announced through on-chain primitives. Sami Kassab framed this as, quote, professional treasury management. That is the right frame. The subnet teams that thrive under conviction will be the ones that publish predictable unlock schedules, programmatic, transparent, market priceable. The teams that try to circumvent or hide their unlocks will face market repricing the moment the on-chain action posts.
The future second-layer mechanism, the election of new subnet owners by holders who lock toward them, is staged but not active in this initial release. That part of the proposal is what makes conviction comparable in scope to dynamic TAO itself. For now, the locking primitive lays the foundation. If Seth Bloomberg's reading is accurate, and this lands as early as next week, that is the moment Bittensor's accountability problem stops being a narrative debate and becomes a protocol primitive. 3 things to watch this coming week. First, conviction activation. If the upgrade goes live next week, the first signal to watch is how subnet owners respond. Some will publish unlock schedules, some will trigger unlocks immediately to test the delay mechanic. Watch on-chain for any large early unlocks and watch the alpha token prices of those subnets in the days that follow. Second, TaoFi's first published Solana yield numbers, single biggest signal for whether the integration delivers actual capital intake or just headline volume. Watch TAO.com's official channels. Third, the $350 level. Michael Van de Pope flagged $350 as the next target after the recent breakout. With conviction landing, having still compressing supply, and Solana access opened, the path is structurally clean. The risk to flag, spot bridges introduce smart contract risk. Wormhole has historically been a target. Canonical status reduces but does not eliminate that risk. Position size accordingly. The broader picture: 5 years to build the network, 3 weeks to build the access layer, 1 week to add a real accountability primitive. Solana integration shipped, TaoFi extended, conviction landing. The thesis is no longer about whether Bittensor can ship, it is about whether you can keep up with the pace. That's it for this week. If you found this useful, subscribe and hit the bell. Sign up for the companion newsletter at bittensorweekly.substack.com for deeper data tables and source links. I will see you next